God bless. I want to give an honor to God, who is the head over my life. The Lord just keeps on giving me more chapters to give to his people for warning of what is really going on. I am here for the blind that cannot see, to open up their eyes to what's really going on. My subject is idolatry in the temple. I'm coming from chapter 8, Ezekiel chapter 8, verses 1 through 7. In the 6th year, in the 6th month, on the 5th day, while I was sitting in my house, and the elders of Judah were sitting before me, the hand of the sovereign Lord came on me there. I looked, and I saw a figure like of a sovereign Lord came on me there. I looked, and I saw a figure like that of a man, from what appeared to be a waist down. He was like fire, and from there up his appearance was so bright as glowing metal. But he stretched out what looked like a hand, and took me by the hair of my head, and the Spirit lifted me up between earth and heaven, and in vision of God he took me to Jerusalem, to the entrance of the north gate of the inner court, where the idols that provoke to jealousy stood. And there before me was the glory of God of Israel, as the vision I had seen in the plain. And in the entrance north of the gate of the altar, I saw this idol of jealousy. So let me stop right there. Okay. So it was idols that were in the temple. Okay. They were invading God's temple. Okay. They were invading the true leaders, to contaminate them, to follow behind their idol ways. See, they were talking about God like they represented God, but these were idol people that were in the temple. Okay. They were like a disease that was spreading to other leaders, but they were idol worshipers that were bringing forth the word of God to spread hate, to contaminate the people of God. And see, while they were doing this, they were trying to contaminate the other God-fearing leaders. See, it takes a strong, anointed leader to see when there are frauds in the temple. So let me go back. It says, in the 6th year of the 6th month, on the 5th day, while I was sitting in my house, the elders of Judah were sitting before me. So Ezekiel was sitting in his house, okay? And the elders of Judah were sitting before me, and the hand of the sovereign Lord came on me. There I looked, and I saw a figure like of a man. From what appeared to be his waist down, he was like fire, and from there up his appearance was a bright and as a glowing metal. He was stretched out what looked like a man, and it took me by the hair of my head, and the Spirit lifted me up between earth and heaven. Now, this spirit was a spirit of God, and Ezekiel said it lifted him up between earth and heaven, and the vision of God. He took me to Jerusalem. He took me. So, Ezekiel said he was uplifted between earth and heaven, and it took him to Jerusalem, to the entrance of the north gate, to the inner courts, where the idols that provoked jealousy stood. So they stood blocking the Lord's work. They stood in jealousy because their job was to destroy a prophet of the Lord so that the people of God couldn't hear what was being brought forth to them. Okay. And there before me was the glory of God of Israel, as in the vision I had seen in the plain. And then he said to me, Son of man, look towards the north. So I looked, and in the entrance to the north of the gate of the altar, I saw this idol of jealousy. So Ezekiel said he looked to the north. See, God was trying to show him this. He said, Ezekiel, now you have a swarm of idol worshipers that are provoking you because they stand in jealousy now. Because they want you to come down from your throne, from telling the people what is truly going on. Because they know that when you speak, the blindfolds come off, and then the people can see what's truly going on. So then he said to me, Son of man, look towards the north. So I looked in the entrance of the north, the gate of the altar. I saw this idol of jealousy. And he said to me, Son of man, do you see what they are doing? The utterly detestable things the Israelis are doing here, things that will drive me far from my sanctuary. But you will see things that are even more detestable. Then he brought me to the entrance of the court, and I looked, and I saw a hole in the wall. And he said to me, Son of man, now dig into the wall. So I dug into the wall, and I saw a doorway there. And he said to me, Go in and see the wicked and detestable things they are doing here. There are idols that are in the temple that are contaminating the true men and women of God, the true people in leadership. And I'm going to go a little bit further so you can so that you can understand what I'm getting at. Okay? Jerusalem and the leaders still living there. Ezekiel being taken in a vision from Babylon to the temple in Jerusalem to see the great wickedness being practiced there. The people and the religious leaders were thoroughly corrupt, while Ezekiel's first vision showed that judgment was from God. This vision shows the people sin was the reason for judgment. This figure who looked like a man could have been an angel or a manifestation of God himself. In Ezekiel's provision, a man with a similar appearance was pictured in God's on his throne. The man showed Ezekiel 4 specific idols practices. The first was the idol that provoked jealousy. This could have been an image of someone who practiced goddess fertility. So he was contaminating God's people with sexual immortality through witchcraft. His job, his gift was goddess of fertility. Go back, read in your Bible, get some understanding of what that is. Okay? He only plays on sexual immortality, which is through witchcraft, somebody who does sorcery. And usually pagans are all over it, which are idol worshippers, okay? In self-gratification, King Messiah had placed an image of Asherah in the temple. King Josiah had burned the Asherah pole, but there were certain many other idols around. In essence, the people had made the temple a house of prostitution. Instead of it being a house of God, it became a house of prostitution through these idol and pagan worship. Um, there stood a man on a throne. He was the goddess of fertility that were turning people to sexual immortality in God's temple. And this is what brought people to sin again from God. Okay? The temple was not considered holy anymore. It was made into a temple of prostitution. In the part of the vision God revealed Ezekiel, the second detestable practices previous people had worshipped Asherah in the open. Now their idol images were hidden and being worshipped in secret. So some people, since they followed behind somebody that was following Satan, they brought some people back to sin. They were living secret lives, following secret images. Um, Things were being hidden. They were being worshipped in secret. God's spirit worked within us in a simple way to the way God worked here, revealing sin that lurks where we hope no one else sees it. How comfortable would you feel if God held an open house in your life today? So it's a lot of uncleanness that are going on in the temple because of these idol worshipers, these pagans that are contaminating God's people. Um, there's someone that's practicing goddess of fertility, which is sexual mortality through witchcraft to draw people in, and people, went back to their sins. Okay, like I said, God is watching everything. I don't just get these scriptures just to give it. And you have a lot of idol worshipers that are saying we have to tear her down because she messing up our money. She messing up our pockets. She messing up our views. Because if she begins to tell the people what we're really doing, then they won't follow us anymore. See, these idol worshipers that you're worshiping, they talk about the Lord, they talk about God, but they are drawing you in through sexual immortality, through witchcraft. And some people don't even know how they're getting sick. That's why the hospital rates are so high right now, because you won't follow behind God, but you will follow behind someone who carries Satan's spirit. And this is where some of the leaders fell. They got contaminated with these idols, these pagan that were talking about God. And the Lord say, do not believe every spirit, because every spirit is not for me. Some leaders are being thrown off their throne because they followed behind the wrong person. Satan was here to get the chosens, the leaders, everyone that followed behind Jesus. He created his throne. He created all his idols to tear the house of God down. My question is for you is, what are you doing to fix it? He made the temple like the house of prostitution. It's so much idols, pagan idols. And you know who following them? The people of God. And that's why the price is so heavy on the leaders. Because you gave God's flocks to pagan idols who did nothing but witchcraft. Half of God's people are in clinics through witchcraft. COVID. COVID, RSV, every sickness that we didn't have before. People are being sick. They don't even know how they're getting sick. And before it gets better, it's going to get worse because we have a lot of leaders that ain't doing their job. You know what Satan doing? He's smiling. He said, "Yeah, I came here and said what I was going to do. I was going to take the leaders. And I was going to send them to hell. I was going to take God's people and I was going to send them to hell. I was going to destroy the land and I was going to send them to hell." Because you didn't know the difference between an idol worshiper that had no spirit of God, between the true living God that did have the spirit. See, this is why the price on my head is so high. Because I won't give up my soul for money. I won't give up my soul for sin. So you know what they said? We have to get her off her throne because she's messing up our business. Pagans only believe in money. And the more views and the more likes the people of God give them, it's just creating a bigger cult. Go back and read Ezekiel chapter 8, verses 1 through 7. See who you really worshiping. God bless.